Alright guys, so I'm at my friend's house who has found the problem with the Duramax about why it would not start. Had nothing to do with all this area we thought about over here on this ECM. These wires were all good, believe it or not. But the damage, what caused the problem was we were not getting any data going to this ECM and modules that were on the other side of it, like the body control module and the transmission control module, because all that data has to come through this module right here, which is the glow plug module, believe it or not. And remember when we first saw this tube right here, which goes to the intercooler, I'm pretty sure we had a bent bracket, and so I should have tried to research that more. But when this tube was pushed in the wreck, it hit that body control module. And check it out, this is the old one. So it was not getting data through. See where that's cracked? So he replaced it and reprogrammed it, and now it should start. So I'm gonna try to get it buttoned up enough to start it and get it on a trailer with no coolant in it, just like real fast. It's probably gonna run really rough because of this mass airflow sensor down here on the air box. I'm gonna go ahead and connect it back to this tube, and maybe you'll get enough air going by it to make it run okay enough to drive it a little ways. This will be the first time we've actually driven it, so hopefully it works. So here goes nothing. Hey, at least you can actually see what gear you're in now. Ah! Well, that doesn't run rough. Here we go. Okay, it runs a little rough. And there's no power steering. There it is, guys. Got it on the trailer with no room to spare. All right, so we've got this truck home. Had no issues on the road. And you can see all the fluid on the ground there on the trailer. That's from power steering. So we got some kind of major leak on the power steering. It could be a cracked reservoir or hose, or who knows, but I see it right there wet. So I'll try to track it down and figure out what that is. And that also explains why we don't have power brakes, because my friend that worked on this said that power brakes, brake assist, is also ran off of the same system as the power steering. So it means we've got no hydraulic power. So I have to try to figure out where that leak is, but I'm glad we got it home. So now we can track down that one more problem and then start reassembling. All right, so I think I see where this is leaking on this power steering. I think it's like a one piece unit, or two pieces, but you buy it as one piece. I think it's where the reservoir goes into the actual pump. I think that's where it's leaking. So I ordered a whole new assembly. So I'll have to go get one of those little tools that you can rent from like O'Reilly's or something, and you can screw on here and remove this pulley, and then we'll get the unit off and then put the pulley back on the new unit. But that won't be until next week when it comes in. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this thing off the trailer. And I just bought this trailer. It's a nice heavy duty trailer, but it came with no fenders. They were tore up. So I've got new fenders in there. I'm gonna have them put on, but I'm gonna make them removable where I can just unbolt them or unclip them or whatever and take them off, because like this truck would have not fit on this trailer if the fenders were welded in. So it doesn't bother me if they were tore up, because I would have had to take them off anyway. So, and it's got two slots in the back for ramps, and there were no ramps in there. So I've got ramps coming, but they're not here yet, and I need to get this thing off the trailer. And it's only about a foot drop there, I'd say. And look at the amount of clearance we've got into this truck. So I was saying there's no problem just driving it off of there very slowly, even though I don't have power brakes or power steering. What is life if you can't take a little risk? Okay, here goes nothing. This could be a bumpy ride. All right, the truck is in the shop and it is, you can't even walk past it. So, but I did get the door shut. So at least I have a way to roll it in here and shut the door at night so I don't have to try to cover the engine bay and all that when it's raining and all that. So that's helpful. So I've been kind of thinking about this the last week or two when I installed this new, radiator support. And to me, it looks like it's leaning back. I was thinking, man, I hope that didn't, this whole, the wreck didn't push everything into the firewall and bend the firewall, because that just, to me, did not look like it was supposed to be sloped back like that. So I got to looking back here at the firewall and everything looks straight. Like, doesn't look like there's anything bent. And then I got another call today from Mike, Body Man Mike, saying that my hood and fenders were done. I already ordered new fenders and hood for the truck, and he's already got them painted, so that is awesome. So now I'm not waiting on anybody except myself. And when I started looking at them, I realized that, check this out, we've got a straight up and down line here that goes on the front of the vehicle, and then this is what connects to that piece I was just showing you, and it is slanted. So it is supposed to slant. Now there is some adjustment right like here, which I got adjusted way in. I can loosen that and pull it, it'll pull back out some. So looks to me like we're on the right track there. Like that's the way it's supposed to be. So that's another great thing. So it's been a good day today. So while I'm waiting on, this is a Friday, while I'm waiting on that power steering pump to come in Monday, I thought I would work on this. All this stuff is mounted to the inside of that fender. Like that fender is just so much a part of the structure of this vehicle that this is mounted to it, and this is broke. So I thought I'll go ahead and start taking this apart. This is the fuse box, and there's four big blocks underneath there that all get mounted in this box, and I have the new box right here. So that's how that goes. Now it's in there like that. So I'll go ahead and try to get it all switched over. And then also I noticed, check these out, our hit was high on this truck, and so our fender was smashed into the door. So look at the distance that this piece is moved here. You can see where it was, and this hit pushed it back. So I got to remember to loosen all these screws and slide that thing back to the same spot exactly it was before. And I don't know if the door hinges did that any. I could tell this one did. The fender hooks to that. You can see where it's moved. So we'll definitely do that, and the same thing on the other side, because this one is what the hood is mounted to, and the fender. So all that was pushed in. So another good little tidbit from today is, you guys remember that this truck had all car covers on the seats in here. There's seat savers. We could tell by just several things in this truck. This was a work truck that was used to do a whole lot of traveling back and forth from long distance, because like we said, there's 106,000 miles on a 2019 vehicle. It looked like it carried a work crew because people sat back here, you know, it's all covered in car seats. And so I went ahead, this driver's side one was filthy, but when I took it off, I mean, this seat looks like new underneath it. It is really nice and clean. So well, that's another good thing from today. So we've got that all installed. It's a new box in there. So really this side is ready to put the fender back on. I want to put some washer fluid back in that reservoir to make sure it's not leaking, because it's hard to get to with that fender on. But for now, let's go over to the other side. I'll show you what's going on over there on that battery. All right, so I'm on the passenger side, and here's the top of the battery, this little area that's got all the connections on it up above it. And you can see we've got broken off tabs. Here's the new one here. See, there's supposed to be a tab right there, broken off. I'm sure the one on the other side is broken off. So go ahead and switch all those wires out and replace that. Alright, so I've got all that replaced, and also loosened up these bolts and moved them back to the original spots while I'm over here. So now I'm going to go over on the other side and do the same thing to the hood brace, whatever you call that thing right there. Alright, so since I've got all that stuff ready on the truck, I think I'm going to go ahead and start getting these fenders ready. So here's the smashed old one. It's got about 1 million little clips and stuff that I need to transfer over to the new one. You know, all these little black, you know, clips that hold wires, and then there's a ton of these little things there that hold the screws for the fender liner. There's a bunch of them, and they're not real easy to get out. I've got to transfer all of those over to that. So I'll get that done, and then we'll get the fender liner installed, because this vehicle actually, you can have the fender liner on the fender before you install it. You don't have to put it in first. So wrecked, smashed fender is all now relieved of its clips, and they're all in the new one, and we've got the fender liner installed, and that took probably an hour. I mean, there's 1 million little clips in there, and trying to get them all out and get them all lined up and put back in. So, but it looks like it's dead when it was new now, so except for a little dirt. Before I put this thing on the truck, I think I need to stop, because this is the part that bolts to that front support where the radiator and all that go, you know, inside the radiator support. And I think this bolts up to the top part of that, which I'm going to have to remove. There's where that fender's edge bolts up to. And this piece I'm going to have to remove before, when I start putting all the different coolers in. So I think I better put those coolers in before I put the fenders in, because I don't want to have to try to mess with getting this out from underneath the fender and off and then back on and all that. So I'll just call it a night, and then hopefully tomorrow that power steering pump should be in, and then we can get that switched out, and then we can start putting coolers in. All right, so I've got my puller here to get this pulley off of the power steering pump. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll get a picture of the way this belt is wound around through there. And I'm gonna go ahead and take this top off of the radiator support so I can get easy access to all that. And we'll see if we can get this pulley off and get the power steering pump removed. And also we'll go ahead and remove this cooler that goes to that, because I've got a new one of those to put in. So while we've got that line off, we might as well replace that. So let's go from there. So that wasn't really bad. All I had to do was to release the pressure on the belt to get the belt off. And then I have this cool little tool that you can rent from like an O'Reilly's, and this goes around the collar of the pulley. See that little wedge in there? And this piece goes on the center hub, and you just tighten it down with a impact, and it just pulls that pulley off. And this side is the part that reinstalls it. Here's the pump, and I cannot find any like physical damage to this thing, but it's, you know, it's wet all around it, and it was right in the area of the crash, so it's got to have some kind of crack or something in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace it, and hopefully when we fill the other one up, it does not have any kind of a leak to it. And it is a process to bleed the system once we get our new pump installed, because it's a hydro boost system, so the brakes and the power steering work off the same fluid. I'll show you when we get to it. We have to go through a whole big long process to get all the air back out of the system. But first, let's go ahead and get the new one installed, and then we'll go ahead and replace this little cooler. Alright, so I've got the new cooler installed and all the lines ran installed. Got the new pump installed. Everything's back connected except for this pulley, which I gotta put on here in just a second. So we'll get that installed, and then we will do the belt back on, and then we'll start the filling up the pump and doing the bleeding process, which could take a while. And I'll go over that with you here in a minute. So that pulley went on really nice and smooth. I love that tool. I wouldn't mind buying one of those, except for you can rent them for free. So I guess I'll go ahead and start putting in fluid in this, and I'll show you the bleeding process. What it is we'll fill this reservoir up to where it's supposed to be on the dipstick here. And then we go into the cab, and first we jack the truck up and get the front wheels off the ground. And we turn the ignition on, but don't start the truck. And we rotate the tires all the way left, all the way right until they stop. And we do that 5 times. And then since the brakes are also in this system, we push the brake pedal to the ground and up 3 times. And then we get out and check our fluid. And so if it's, we got to make sure we don't let that reservoir run dry. It's like bleeding brakes. So you got to make sure you keep fluid in there, and then you go back and do that process again. And they say that you could have to do that process 50 times. And one guy said he had to do it 90 times before he got all the air out. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get some fluid put in my reservoir. Alright, so here we go. I've got the reservoir full of power steering fluid. I've got the front wheels jacked up off the ground just a little bit. And I'm going to go in and do my little process of doing the tires back and forth 5 times, bumping the brake all the way up and down 3 times, come out, check my fluid, and vice versa. And it could take me 40 tries to get the air out. It could take me 60 tries. It could take me 90 tries. So let's just see how fast we can do this. Okay, I have no idea how many times that was, but I don't think it was 40 or 50. It seemed like 20 or 30, but I have done it the last several times, and my level has not dropped any in my reservoir. So I feel like I've got all the air out that I can do without starting it. So you're really supposed to have somebody like a helper out here watching this level when you start it to see if it goes down. I don't have a helper, so I'm going to start it just real quick, and I might crank the wheels like one way. Actually, I'll probably just start it, and then that'll get this pump rotating, and then I'll just shut it off real fast, and I'll come check my level and see if I need to add more. Tell the batteries were getting low after having the door open for however long that was. All right, so that worked great. Don't see any leaks, and everything's good. So we'll go ahead and start working on the next thing, which would be the clutch, fan clutch. We'll get the wiring hooked back up on that, and then move on to coolers, I think.
But we're going to have to start doing that next week because we are out of time. So I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up down below and make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell. That way, whenever we upload new videos, you guys can get notifications and you can see them right when they're uploaded. So hope you guys have a good week, and see you next time. And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.